there. I don't know if you've heard, but there's a great new radio show on Para X. 2 hosts, 1 hour, and too much fun. Stephanie and Heidi not only talk about the latest goings-on in the supernatural worlds, they live it. They want to hear from you. They want to help you understand and guide you. And they want you to tune in. So, grab a friend or come alone to gather around that metaphysical table with Heidi and Stephanie. If you're interested in the worlds of the unseen, tune in to the Gathering Radio Show, Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern on Para X Radio.
All right, so it's on, so whenever you want to start talking.
Hi, this is Krista Cesare from the C2D1 Haunting. You're listening to The Shadows.
Your source for everything paranormal. Para X. The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
But remember, we'll always see you in the shadows.
Welcome to another Monday night here on the Shadows Radio. I'm Rebecca.
I'm Gertrude.
That's right, you are, because it is another night of Cara invasion, and I couldn't do 2 Caras because last time it got really confusing.
I changed my name.
You are now Gertrude. Congratulations.
Well, you know, that's my alias.
We were trying to call you last time. I don't remember what we were trying to call you last time, but it did not stick, whatever it was.
That's all right. It's just, you know, it's my alias for these shows. It's all good.
Oh, well, okay. I'm sure there's an ass joke in there, but I couldn't think of it. So we'll just go with alias.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sorry. So all the housekeeping fun stuff. Here we go. You can find us on Podomatic, iTunes, and all the places that you can get your podcast. You can find us. Just go to theshadowsradio.com, click on the on-demand link, and download the podcast directly from there. You can set up your RSS feed from there, or go to all the other links from all the other sources, etc., etc. Yes.
Etc., etc., etc.
Etc., etc. And, a start of term announcement? No, I guess not really start of term. End of year announcement? I don't know. Some kind of fancy announcement. We are going to do our 2018 wrap-up of psychic prediction-y things that we always do at the start of the year. So the sources that we were using, that we talked about last year, have kind of come down. So we've been looking for new ones. So if you guys have any suggestions for sources of people who post their psychic predictions, please send them our way. We are open and willing and awesome to check out all those things. So that's our notes for the day. Cara?
Notes done.
I mean, Gertrude?
Notes done.
Did you have any notes?
I don't have any notes.
Okay.
Now that I know that we're looking for sources for our psychic...
Well, we're always looking for, suggestions of topics and things like that, but this is more of a PSA of because we used to get them all from one conglomerated source, and then that conglomerated source kind of blew up, so that was all gone. And so last year I kind of randomly pulled from websites, and that worked out pretty well. But I figured if people actually know certain, hey, this guy posts his stuff every year, and I like or dislike him, then I'm open to other people's suggestions. I'm trying to be magnanimous in my openness.
Well, no, it's great because maybe we'd actually get some predictions that were correct.
We didn't do too badly last year. I think last year we were averaging a 40%.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but wouldn't it be cool if somebody knows somebody, they're no, you need to check this guy out, and he got 95% right. God, that'd be awesome.
That would be impressive. That would be implausible, but also impressive.
Yeah, see, I'm just, hope for the best, expect the worst, or expect the best, hope for the worst, one of those.
Well, isn't that aim for the moon, because then even if you fail, you land among the stars or something like that? Isn't that the thing? That's not
All right, we don't know any of our
We are terrible human beings. Okay, so we're going to shift away and pretend that neither of us said anything.
Yes, just ignore everything that happened before this.
All right, reboot. All right. So, welcome to the Shadows Radio. Tonight we are welcoming back a guest. We had a great conversation about tarot and doing readings for people, and the Sparkle Dragons Magical Emporium, which is also fun to say and fun to be. So, we want to welcome back Miss Cara from Tarot Readings by Cara. Hi, Cara.
Hello.
Welcome back to the show.
I'm going to cough now.
Okay.
I was holding it for like 10 minutes. I was like, oh, please.
She's in there going, stop talking, you jerks. Well, welcome back, cough and all. We're glad to have you back here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back. It's fun.
Yay. We're trying.
We're fun.
Painfully, terribly. I just realized, I'm like, I probably should check and make sure I turn the mics on, but I did. Okay, cool. Because it's been that kind of day.
Oh, boy.
So, Cara, we thought we'd have you back, and we're going to successfully announce that the Shadows Radio is going to bring Cara back here on a regular rotational basis to share some insights and talk about stuff and do all kinds of fun stuff. So, Cara's going to be like, the mailman on Mr. Rogers who stopped by on a regular basis. So
that's cool.
Officially, unofficially announcing that, whether you wanted me to or not.
That is really cool. I like that analogy.
The mailman on Mr. Rogers?
I'm the mailman on Mr. Rogers.
You absolutely are, but we are not soaking our feet in a pool together because that's just weird.
Well, not together, but I have a pool right here. I'm soaking my feet.
Okay, and
I'm really not.
Okay.
Oh boy,
this is going to be one of those nights. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And Cara's no longer allowed back.
Never mind what I was just saying about semi-regular. Nope, I was just lying. No, I would never lie to you people. You are my friends, my only friends. And it got awkward. Okay, so, Cara, the reason we had you back tonight is I wanted to talk to you about something that, is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of on people's minds, but nobody ever really wants to talk about it. And that's the idea of kind of the dangers of getting too many readings or, depending on readings, becoming addicted, So, when you were on last, we talked about how you were kind of getting up and started and how you kind of got into the swing of things. So, I wanted to get your take and your opinion on this and to think, is it possible for someone to be addicted to getting readings?
Yes, that's actually what they refer to it as, like an addiction. I haven't had anybody like constantly coming back to me, so I haven't experienced it as a reader, but as reading for myself, I can tell you that I've not been addicted, but I've put measures in place to make sure I don't go down that path because it's very easy. It's just... It's a good way of getting advice, and kind of think like if you had a friend you were constantly asking for advice, like, maybe they were really reassuring and you just constantly went back to them. It's kind of like that, and it can get addictive, or it can get to the point where you don't really, any decision. You want to ask the cards and get their feedback. So it is easy to fall into. And in some extreme cases, it can be really bad. An extreme case would be like somebody who is putting more money than they have into getting the readings, or following the advice, should I sell my house, or should I quit my job, date this guy, whatever it is, but everything hinges on the cards and goes for it just based on that, no other information, it can be really bad.
So, I mean, well, when you think about people who go for readings generally, and I'm just talking about like a general, kind of casual person who decided to, go for a reading, or somebody who even like wandered into a bar, and they're doing tarot readings for $10 and they sit down and the person always says, do you have a question? Or are you thinking of an intention or something like that? And generally someone has a large kind of decision that they're thinking about. So what's the kind of the line between going for one of those casual readings and then, kind of getting too caught up in it?
I would say, honestly, it would be how much faith you put in it. Not to say that tarot readers can't give advice or the cards don't give advice. They do. But I would say hinging everything on what the cards say would be a bad sign. And it would also be, too, if you're going in casually, you might say, oh, should I switch jobs? And maybe it says yes. Well, you're already thinking about it anyway. That's fine. But if, you had a reading and they said, oh, well, maybe you should switch jobs, and you do, and there was no other thought put into it, that could be dangerous. One other thing that is another aspect of getting addicted is constantly getting readings with the same question, trying to change the outcome. That's something that happens too, where I might ask one reader and they'll say, you know what, the relationship just isn't going to work out. So I go to the next reader and ask the same thing, hoping to get a different answer. That does happen too. It's kind of a variant, but it's kind of along the same lines, looking for that one that's going to give you the answer that you want. There are sometimes when that happens, and that's also not good, because then somebody's either going to tell you what you want to hear to, for whatever reason, or, you're just going to phrase it until you get the answer you want, but it's kind of a denial type thing. And that can be bad for people too. Not, in general, having that kind of denial would be bad, but it does come up with tarot cards.
So what, as the reader, do you kind of look for in somebody when they sit down to see if, like, okay, this person is just, getting their reading, or is this person digging for a specific answer? Like, are there red flags? Are there clues that you're looking for? I don't know. How does it come across to you on the other side of the table?
If somebody's asking a question and I say, well, this is what the cards are saying, this is how I see it. Some people, most people are like, okay, that makes sense. Or, oh, okay, I wasn't sure what to do. That makes sense. But I've had people who I read, and then they're like, well, doesn't it say this? Or are you sure? Or couldn't it also mean that? Which, it's fine when people ask questions. I want you to know what the cards are saying. But if I say, okay, this is telling me it's not going to work. Well, couldn't it also mean yes? Not really. Not the total opposite. It does mean there's going to be an upheaval, so sometimes people will try to change the answer, or they'll see something that's I didn't say, and it's like they're trying to, they have thoughts in their head and they're trying to put it into the reading. And I just kind of reiterate what I've seen and reiterate that, as with all readings, this is my interpretation of the cards that I pulled. This is, I don't know what's going on in your situation. I don't know unless you tell me this would be best, this would be best, this would be best. I pulled cards, and from them I interpreted a message for you. What you do with that message is your thing, and that's really all the more my involvement is to interpret this message and kind of give you guidance from there. But sometimes people, they'll say, well, couldn't it mean this or couldn't it mean that? And if it could, I would say so, but usually not. Usually they're got something else in their head, like an idea of how this would play out, and they're trying to make it fit. And when that happens, I just kind of steer into this is what I'm seeing.
Interesting. So is there ever a time where you would kind of, and I know, you said that this hasn't really happened to you yet, but is there kind of a time where you would throw your hands up and be like, look, I know I'm telling you this is what I'm seeing. You're not, you're clearly either not hearing me or you don't like what I'm saying. Enough is enough. Like, do you think there would be that point, or do you think that you can always try and reason with somebody?
No, there's just some people you can't reason with. And I'm just speaking as a person who's talked to other people. There will be somebody you can't reason with. Now, the readings that I do are, they're for entertainment purposes only. So this isn't written in stone. This isn't, and most readers will say that too. Theirs is for entertainment purposes only. This isn't hard and fast. But, you came to me and you said, can you interpret a message using these cards? And I did. So this is what I'm saying to you. There will be people who try to fight it, but ultimately that's, if you don't agree with me, okay, but then why did you get the reading? If you just wanted me to tell you something, you could have been like, here's some money, tell me this. Okay. But, you asked me to interpret the cards. This is what I'm seeing. I'll let you, and I do this, and I've seen other people do it too, is if somebody asks, I'll let them take a picture of the layout. So if they want to go back and look up each individual card, and maybe they get something out of it that I didn't see, or something that I'm fine with that, but you asked for an interpretation, and here's my interpretation. And that's what that's what it looks like to me. Anything is possible. You have free will. Everyone has free will. Anything can happen. But from what I see, this is what it is.
I don't think people realize that card readings are, and things like that are there for guidance, not to like direct you in life. You know what I mean? It's amazing how if some people would take a card reading so seriously and not realize that life is full of free will and things change all the time.
Absolutely. If I say, oh no, I don't see this relationship working out, you could say, to heck with you, Cara, and then go and stay with that person, miserable, but stay with them just to spite me. I mean, you can do that.
Right.
You could choose to walk in front of a car and get hit and not have any future. I couldn't have predicted that because you had the free will. But that's where the addiction kind of gets dangerous, is people who think that they're being told the future, or they're being told what will be, as though it's set. And then they get, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And it's like, well, really, it's up to you. Here's what it says may happen if you do these things, but there's no guarantees with it.
Right.
And I think that, a lot of the people who get the, kind of addiction kind of don't see it that way.
I don't know if Rebecca thought of this, but when you were talking about people getting addicted, I'm thinking of somebody being like, oh, well, screw this. I can read my own cards, because tarot cards are easy to buy. Imagine one of these addicts getting their own set of cards and reading their cards for themselves every day.
Now that's kind of, because like I said, the closest experience I've had to tarot addiction has been myself, because I do read for myself every day. But typically I just pull one card. I ask one question and I pull one card and think about how it relates. And that's actually a pretty good way to learn.
Right.
But things I will not do, I will not pull more than one question in the same day. I won't do multiple layouts for myself in the same day. I might pull like one card and then it doesn't make sense, so I pull another one to kind of get clarity. But I won't, do one reading, scoop it up, do another reading, scoop it up, because that would be too much. Doing one a day to kind of learn the cards and just to get like a daily meditation. A lot of people will pull a card and look at it, and that's fine. But, every decision, and even if you're waiting to hear back on a new job. And so you do a layout Thursday, am I going to get this job? And then you do one on Friday, and then you do one on Saturday. At that point, it becomes kind of addicting. And it's like, you know what? You did the reading. You got your answer. Let's let it go and see what happens. If anything changes, you find out you didn't get the job. Well, what do I do now? That's a different question. But to ask the same question repeatedly can be problematic. And honestly, my cards will call me on it if I do. I don't know if I said this last time, but it's a thing where as I'm drawing cards, if I'm like, well, I need more clarification, I draw another one. If I go too far, I inevitably get the 10 of Swords, which is a card of someone face down with 10 swords sticking out their back. Which is a pretty clear indicator that you should probably stop asking questions, especially, though, because the swords tend to be about thought, and the tens tend to be beyond completion. So it's kind of like an overthinking card. So that's like a signal that my cards give me, and it doesn't matter which deck I'm using. If I am asking too many questions or asking for too much clarification, I'll get the 10 of Swords. And that is the deck telling me, no, I told you, you need to look at what you have. So I think for other people, if they were reading cards and if they were actually, getting meaning from the cards and not just looking up what they wanted, if they're actually getting meaning, there'd probably be some kind of indication for them too at some point, okay, you've gone far enough. I'm not telling you anything else.
That's interesting. I never would have thought the cards would have told me that.
The card tells you to knock it off. Like, put it down.
I like it.
I will stab you. Yeah, sorry.
Stop asking questions.
10 times.
I need a nap. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Cards can be sassy. They absolutely can be sassy.
Oh, yeah.
I have there's the High Priestess, which is like kind of like hidden knowledge. And when I was first reading, I interpreted it as, I know, but I'm not telling you. And I've gotten that one a number of times. And I'm like, fine.
And so you just go, and you move on. Like, you jerks.
The cards just go, womp, womp.
Yeah. So, someone in the chat room had messaged me, and they wanted to know, kind of going back to the whole danger of being way too addicted to pulling cards or going to readings or whatever. Is there some kind of like, I hate to use the phrase psychic network, but that's what they use, but I don't mean it like the psychic network on TV.
Right.
Where like if you see somebody that has this kind of problem, you can kind of throw it out there and say, hey, by the way, if so-and-so shows up, just tell them you're busy or something, so that you're kind of looking out for each other so that nobody gets caught, with this psychic hopper or something.
So I'm not, I wouldn't say that, because I'm still learning and I'm still kind of new. I wouldn't say that I'm in the community enough that anybody has said, oh, watch out for this person or that person. But I would think somebody who's more addicted would probably go to the same, would find a reader and kind of cling to them. I'm sure there's some that hop from reader to reader, but I think some of the more upsetting cases would be somebody who clings to the same reader. And it would especially be this is even worse, but it would especially be someone who goes to a reader who says, oh no, your future is gloom and doom, but for an extra X amount of money, I can remove the curse or whatever it is. So at that point, the reader's not going to do something if they're because at that point they're basically charlatans. So it would probably be up to family and loved ones to break them of that habit. But I don't think, one thing, I don't think psychic addiction is enough of a thing that there's actually anything about it besides maybe some readers knowing that this person is like that. But I haven't been in the community long enough for anybody to have given me that kind of warning.
All right, and thank you for that question in the chat room. I appreciate that. So I also, while I was doing a little bit of digging in this, came across an article about, and I'm not going to read the whole article, but I'll just kind of give you the synopsis. There is a woman who was so addicted to psychic readings, and she did not necessarily specify tarot. She just said psychic readings, and she says of various kinds, that she spent $17,000 a year going to readers.
Wow.
And I see something like that, and I'm like, you are flipping nuts. I don't make that many decisions in a year that I think I need that kind of guidance on. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
So when they say that, and this is a personal feeling, I don't know, but when they say psychic things like that, I'm wondering how many of those are, and this would be your guys' realm more than mine, but how many of those are, I can get, like, mediumship, I can get in contact with your dead husband, or, you know, things like that. Because, like, divination, like tarot cards is one thing, but I think psychic kind of also lumps mediumship. I know I had a mediumship reading, whatever you call it. I don't know, actually. But it was a tarot reader that also did mediums. So I would think if you're getting into the $17,000 realm, you're grasping for something like closure with your husband or with a loved one, something to that effect. I don't know that all of it would be divination, because really you'd have to run out of something to talk about, like several grand in. I don't know that anybody could, just with the cost of readings. So either it's the mediumship, or it's probably a little bit too of the, if you, you know, for an extra this amount of money, I can break the curse, get a contact with whatever it is they can do for the X amount of money. So a lot of that might be shady practitioners, but some of it might just be because the calls are $3.99 a minute with someone who can talk to the dead.
My goodness.
Yeah.
I think if I would have hit, you know, just even $1,000 area, I'd be like, okay, wait a minute, this is a problem.
I have a problem when people charge me more than $20 for a reading. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
you want how much? Yeah.
I'm thinking she has no friends and she just, you know, no one else to talk to. So
this is also possible.
That's possible.
All right, that's kind of a decent part to stop. We're going to take a real quick break. You're listening to the Shadows Radio here on the Para X Radio Network. We'll be right back.
This is Aaron Gilmore from Ghost Adventures, and you're listening to Parax Radio.
Hi, this is Hollywood Hunt Rider Marla Brooks, and you're listening to the Para X Radio Network.
Paramount, 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 Paramount.
Welcome back to the Shadows Radio here on the Para X Radio Network. I'm still Rebecca.
I'm still Gertrude.
And we are still talking to Cara from Tarot Readings by Cara. Hi, Cara.
Hello.
There was an awkward pause. I was like, uh-oh. So it was that terror moment, like, she hung up. Oh, no. But, yeah, you're still here. Okay. All right, so
that was enough.
Yeah, so before we dump too far in, let's do the shameless self-promotion portion of our evening and tell everybody where they can find you and if they're interested in getting any kind of readings or anything from you, where they can find that.
So, I have a Facebook page. If you search Tarot Reading by Cara, you will find it. I think the actual @ thing is Readings by Cara. I can't remember, but if you search Tarot Readings by Cara, you will find me. If you are in the Pittsburgh area, I do readings at Sparkle Dragon's Magical Emporium on Saturdays from 4 to 7 p.m.
With that one. You gotta like, there's gotta be like bells chiming anytime you say that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's the greatest name ever. But it's in BTO. It's a pretty cool shop. Check it out anyways. Even though I'm not there, they're great. But I'll post if I'm going to be there on the site. So Facebook, definitely the way to go.
Awesome. All right. And it's Cara with a K. Kara, just so you know. Although I'm sure if you search Cara with the C, somebody else awesome would come up. Right, Gertrude?
We don't know who.
Yeah, some other person who's not as exciting and not as interesting to talk about.
Oh, thanks.
Well, if I search Tarot Readings by Cara with a C, I'm pretty sure you don't come up.
No, I know. I'm teasing. Oh, goodness.
Oh, you're so picky and sensitive.
No.
Anyway.
I could just... if I would just be quiet, then it wouldn't make for a radio show. You have to talk.
Really? After 5 years, you're just figuring this out?
Oh, man. She's just low blow. I'm going to go back to the corner.
I fell out of my chair. Okay. So,
anywho.
So before the break, we were talking about people who are kind of like weirdly addicted to psychicness or psychic readings or tarot readings and things like that. So, Cara, I want to ask you, what was it like doing your first reading? When you sat down, somebody handed you whatever the money was, slid it across the table and said, read my cards. Did you, like, feel pressure? Did you, like, panic? Because that's what I would have done.
Yes. And I'm not going to lie, I still panic a little now because it's always – because I'm still starting out. So it's always kind of like a – oh God, don't blow it kind of thing in my head. But once I start reading, like I can kind of lose myself in the cards and putting it all together. It's like a puzzle. So I'm doing that, and then it kind of calms me down. But the first time somebody did it for actually paid me, they were new too. So I was like, oh, okay. It was the first time getting her cards done. And I was like, oh, okay, then I'll just explain everything and that'll make me feel better. So that wasn't so bad. But now it's still a little nerve-wracking for me just because building up confidence is a part of it.
Because I gotta be honest with you, if I sat down, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to read your cards. Look, you have a 3 of diamonds. Is that right? Okay. Let me find the book. Let me turn the page because I would still be doing that now. Even as a, quote, seasoned professional. You know what I mean?
I still, especially when I'm reading for myself, I check the book. Mm-hmm. I have one deck that only talks to me, and that's the one I pull my card every night. And when I pull cards, I still check because I'll get the same cards over and over again. The last couple nights it's been the temperance card, which has to do with like balance in your life. And I was like, okay, I get it. And I was like, well, maybe I don't get it. So I got out the book and I read what it had to say, and it was kind of different from what I had like basically decided in my head the card meant. So I still check it from time to time, especially if I need a different perspective on the card, or I'll look up, not the book, but I'll look up online and see if there's a different meaning for the card than what I'm used to. Because sometimes it's trying to tell me something else and I'm kind of stuck in place. So it's not a bad thing to still check the book. Although when you're reading for other people, you kind of want to do it without.
Yeah, I feel like not to diminish anything, but if I was kind of going to get a reading from someone I didn't know and they pulled out the book, I'd be like, does that mean it's a really good sign or a really bad sign that you just put on the book? Is it like a really rare card that means super fantastic fortune, or am I in trouble? That would be my instinct.
Yeah, no, if you're reading for other people, you really shouldn't have the book. I just, mostly for me, if I keep getting the same card, it's like someone's trying to tell me something, and I could just see like my spirit guides or whoever it is just hitting me over the head. Like, why aren't you getting it? Come on. And then it's like, okay, well, maybe there's something I'm not seeing. But when I'm reading for other people, I don't use the book.
That's a good rule.
Although I could see your spirit guide picking up the book and whacking you over the head with it.
Stop taking your book out.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Put the book down. It's not an open book test. All right, anyway.
I think at this point my guides are just like, whatever it takes. Just whatever. I'm just being sociopath at this point. They're like, whatever. You need the book, fine.
Sorry, I'm just imagining these little devil angel things, like, like the full-on, like, 50s cartoon devil angel sitting on your shoulders poking you with a book, like, nope, bad.
The pitchfork, no.
Yeah, prod, yeah. Oh, look, now you've pierced ears. Sorry. Sorry, I need a nap. So we started out, like I said, talking about this psychic addiction or, reading addiction, things like that. So when you do your readings in person, you said you were learning, you started out reading for friends and things like that, and at this Sparkle Dragons, because that's just awesome to say. I just wanted to say it there. Did you ever notice that people that you were kind of learning from or working with were getting readings a lot, or was it like, okay, we're sitting down to do a reading because you have to learn, or were they actually like sitting down to get a reading? Did that make sense?
I think. Let me try to answer it and see how I do. So the people that I've read for the most are friends and family, and those ones where I need practice, sit your butt down, I'm reading for you. Mm-hmm. But whenever it was anybody I didn't know, it's pretty much been they called the shop and asked if they had any readers, and she said, these days and times, because there are other readers as well. I know there's one on Friday. I think there's one on Sunday. And so, she would say, well, here's when I have readers. And so they were coming in just looking for a reading. And a lot of times in my experience, I would say, okay, I'm going to do my best. A little new, just throwing it out there. But, mostly they were. And the other thing is, too, is I do mine by donation. So, I don't charge people ahead of time unless I'm at a show or something. I do so afterwards. So I'm like, whatever you think it was worth, that's, whatever you're willing to give. So, people aren't as picky when you do by donation. So, it never seemed to be too much of a problem that I was newer, but they were just coming in for a reading. And whenever I've done a couple of shows, those people are going, and that's a time when you can, is if there's 5 or 6 readers at a show, some people will go from reader to reader to reader, not looking for the same answer from all the readers necessarily, not in an addiction kind of way, but just in a kind of like if you went to an ice cream fair and it was like, oh, there's like 5 or 6 different flavors. Why don't I try them? You can go to other readers that way. It's not so much an addiction as it is, trying a couple of readers out. And I know it sounds hypocritical, but that would be fun because you're not desperately seeking to change an answer or seeking to find a different one. It's more just I'm going to get readings from a couple different people and see who I like, who I don't. Maybe I'll take a card. Maybe I'll find somebody I want to talk to regularly, but not in a addictive kind of way.
They might be just trying to find somebody they click with.
Yeah, exactly. So I just realized as I was saying, I was like, oh, they're going to go to a bunch of different readers. But that kind of scenario would be fine if you're just testing out different people, because it's different than like an addiction where it would be, I have to find my answer to this question or something to that effect. I don't remember why I brought the shows, though.
Well, you wanted to say ice cream.
I did.
You did.
I wanted ice cream,
now
but
I want ice cream.
I got a smoothie instead.
I thought you had a Slurpee.
It wasn't a Slurpee. It was a smoothie. I was wrong.
How did you not know what you were drinking? Okay, anyway. So another question.
Which one's healthier? It's that one.
You liar. Now no one will go to you because you lied. Okay, so the question came in over the Facebook page, and they ever said, did you ever get a message through the cards that the person that you were reading for was kind of looking for the wrong thing, or they were asking the wrong question?
I did, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but
we celebrate HIPAA here. It's fine.
But like one thing I'll say is when you're asking a question and you're getting read, it's very broad. Even if your question is specific, the answer you're going to get is very broad. So if you're saying, will this exact thing happen, yes or no, you're probably not going to get the answer that you think you're going to get, just because that's not how that works. You would be better off going, my career, what about? And then letting the cards fall where they do. And then they'll say, oh, you're going to go on a journey and then it's going to end up well, or, oh, you're not happy where you are, it's not good for you, whatever it says. But if you say, am I going to get this promotion? Let's say, yes or no. That's not how the cards are going to answer. And it would be possible if, there's 7 cards in the layout to see one that's the answer you think it is and fixate on it. And that's not the whole picture. That's not the whole reading. And the whole reading is much more broad than the initial question was. So it's not that, I hate to say people ask the wrong question, but anymore, when I'm reading for somebody, I'll say, think of a question, not yes or no, but a general. I don't even think of questions so much a lot of times as I do just a category, like, kids, go, career, go. Just, this is the, what do I need to know right now in general? A very broad statement. So I did have somebody who had a yes or no question, and it was hard to give a full interpretation when they just wanted the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it also be a very short reading if it was yes or no? Just flip the first card and go, bam, there's your answer.
See, you can do that. There are people who will. I forget how, because I've never done it. But you could just say, these cards are yes, these cards are no, bam. That's and that's, or I think it's with reversals, which I don't personally use, but you flip over 3 cards. If 2 of them are reversed, it's a no. If 2 of them are straight up, it's a yes. There are ways to get yes or no answers out of tarot cards, but to me, that's tarot can do so much more. Like if I was going to get yes or no, I would use a pendulum and just show me yes, show me no. Here's my question, yes or no, and it'll show you. Mm-hmm. Tarot can give you a little more depth, even with just a card. If you say, what's the one card I need to see about this, and you flip it over, it's going to give you a little more than just yes or no, and it's maybe not a direction, but it'll be like a path, if that makes sense. It'll just be kind of a guidance. So I don't use tarot for yes or no, but you technically can. But if you're doing a full reading, then it's not a yes or no situation.
I still feel like if I walked in with a question and you just flipped the first card and were like, yes, and you just looked at me, be like, okay, we're just going to sit here for another 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Getting my money's worth.
That'll be $17,000.
Yes. That will be all the money, please. Interesting.
Oh my goodness, 17,000. Anyway,
what did you say?
I said $17,000. It boggles my mind still.
Well, that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are things
and stuff.
Yeah. Well, there's just I don't know. It's hard to describe people sometimes.
Well, I think the whole thing with getting the yes or no answers, I don't think that people realize that getting a reading is not, just going to direct you into an absolute way. I mean, there's just no way. I think it's like with anything. It's a journey, it's guidance. It's there to teach you something. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and actually, Kat in the chat room actually brought up something very interesting. She said you could ask about a job you're hoping for, and the answer could be yes. It looks very promising. Then you figure it's in the bag, you don't follow up, and someone else does and gets the job. And that's actually a very interesting point. So, Cara, what do you do to kind of like remind people that while the cards say yes, you still have to do the work? Or the cards say no, you still have to do the work?
That's actually a lot of the I'm also a pagan, so a lot of my pagan beliefs kind of tie into my tarot beliefs, even though they don't necessarily have to. But like with magic in paganism, witchcraft, the first thing that it is you have to exhaust all mundane options. I can do a spell to win the lottery, but if I don't buy a ticket, money's not just going to fall out of the sky. That's just, you don't get a job if you don't send in your resume, and if you're not qualified, if I send it in to be the CEO of my company, I'm still going to get laughed out. So that is something, and that's kind of, where we have to remind them, there is free will, this is the most likely outcome. That's the actual title of the last card in my spread is most likely outcome. So I'll say things look good for this or things don't, but it's never a guarantee. Especially because I know in some place, fortune telling is technically illegal. But that's not what I'm doing. I'm not giving you tomorrow's lottery numbers. I'm telling you, if you do these other 6 cards, the last one is the most likely outcome of that scenario.
Okay. But do they have to then, take it upon themselves to, kind of push that scenario forward, right? I mean, it's not like a set in stone, it's this or nothing, right?
Right, yeah. And things don't happen supernaturally.
They don't?
I'm sorry. Wah, wah. No, you can't make it rain frogs. You can get a blimp and dump frogs out of the sky, but you can't make it rain frogs. That just doesn't happen. And so, I can't make myself CEO of my company if I don't have a degree or if I don't have 20 years of experience or whatever, the HR machine is looking for and spits out. So I can say, am I going to be the CEO of my company? And it's probably like, yeah, it looks good. Well, 20 years from now, but now I need to do all those things to work up the ladder just like anybody else would, because I'm not going to magically glide into something that other people are working towards. The mundane options have to be exhausted for something to happen. There's no shortcut, not with tarot readers, not with magic, not with anything. There's no shortcut that's going to get you out of work.
Oh, damn it. Are you sure?
So, Rebecca, as you're typing up that letter to your boss, you might want to actually go in tomorrow because
delete.
You're not winning the lottery.
Oh.
Or you might, but...
Well, don't you have to actually play the lottery to win the lottery?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn semantics. Okay, I'm sorry.
This actually, going back to something Gertrude said about, I don't remember what it was, but it was about going to tarot, how people go to tarot readers and think they're going to get like a yes or no. And there's a cartoon I saw where, and I might have brought this up last time, I can't remember. The guy goes to a fortune teller or reader or whatever, she has a crystal ball, and she says like 64942, and he takes those lottery numbers, plays them, doesn't win, goes back to the fortune teller and beats the crap out of her, and then they show him in jail with 64942 written across as the numbers on his jail thing. And that's the kind of thing we don't see yes or no, this is the future, this is not, with that kind of clarity. This is still us getting some kind of message out of the way cards are laid out. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like if you took a Scrabble set and pulled out 2 tiles and said, this is who I'm going to marry, this is their initials, which right. I think is actually something that people do. No, you're grabbing Scrabble tiles, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but you're gleaning messages out of this task, and, it's accurate, but it's also very nebulous. It's very not exact, not precise. So, that kind of goes back to things look good or it doesn't look good, but we can't say with any kind of certainty because we're not fortune tellers. We're not telling what's going on in the future. This is what it looks like.
Yeah, I had a tarot reader once tell me to watch out for the guy with the double letters in his name. I'm still waiting for that guy because I'm ready to beat him up. I was all ready for a fight for like 3 months after that, and when he never showed up, I was really upset. That was like 5-6 years ago. I'm still waiting.
Oh, jeez.
So like somebody comes up to you and says, my name's Derek. How do you spell that?
Yeah. I was looking for like a
and
Will.
Like they say 2 R's.
Yeah, I was waiting for like a Will or a Bill or something like just one of those names. I was like, I'm going to get you. And it never happened, and I'm sad. So. Yeah, stupid. No, sorry. Anyway, okay. One more time, tell people where they can find you and reach for your services.
Best place is Facebook at Tarot Readings by Cara, Cara with a K. If you're in the Pittsburgh area, I read at Sparkle Dragons Magical Emporium in Beachview. If you're in Pittsburgh, go there anyway because it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we need to get like a chime sound effect every time you say Sparkle Dragons Magic Emporium. And I said we're gonna figure
Next time I'll have a bell and I'll just ring it.
Yeah, we need something like that. Just like bring. I don't know.
Yeah, we need something. Yes, absolutely.
We should tell them to invest in that so that we can make use of it.
Listeners, we need you. The Shadows drinking game. Every time we say Sparkle Dragons Magical Emporium,
take a shot.
They would be hammered in about 3 minutes.
Oh, goodness gracious.
All right, we got to hang up the mics here, but Cara, Gertrude, thank you very much for, having a conversation with us tonight, and we will see you back here again after the new year.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
It was our pleasure. And as always, I'm Rebecca.
I'm Gertrude.
And we'll see you in the shadows.